So this is an activity that I like to do. This is one of my little secrets.
Before I say that,
Okay.
right? I just, so what does the man do when he wants? There's a libido discrepancy. He's saying, I want it every day or every other day, and she's like once a week. But then she takes care of herself,
Right.
and then she says no. Welcome to Heart with Dr. Tartt. I'm so excited about today because we're going to talk about love and relationships. We're going to talk about marriage. We're going to even talk about the S word. We're going to talk about sex. All right. But I really want to know, because I'm going to be honest, y'all. I sit up here and I watch Instagram. I watch social media. And I say, how much do I really know about modern day dating, especially for women of color? I mean, is it how it was when I was dating? Is it different? And what is it like for a woman with some status, some degrees, a position? How easy is it to date? Now, that's just not just here in Atlanta, but in any metro city. I want to know. And I brought in someone that's going to help me, but I want to know, when dating, how should a woman move when she's looking for a husband, and how are brothers receiving our sisters who are serious about marriage, who are out here dating? Who are they dating? And what the experience is like. So we're going to have a good time today. I have a bunch of questions. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And I also want to talk about what happens in relationships, and especially in marriages, when it comes to sex and intimacy. If you're going to be married forever and it's going to be good and it's going to be satisfying, how do couples navigate the sexual issues that are not talked about in church, not talked about often in premarital, but couples are dealing with, especially with modern day culture? What do? So I brought in someone that can handle all of those things. But before I introduce her, right, because I know I set the bar high. I don't even know how I'm going to actually do this show because I'm so interested in what she's going to say. I'm going to have to focus, right? I'm going to have to focus. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Tartt, Christian clinical psychologist. I just got back, y'all, from Essence. I went to Essence Fest. I was happy to be outside, y'all. I was happy to be outside because y'all see, my family, it's not often I get to work and then just come home and do what I need to do, right? So that's my family, y'all. See, those are our beautiful daughters and our son. First words, y'all, I'm gonna brag, dad. And my wife is hot because dad doesn't even spend 50% of the time with him, all right? But the first words were dad. And for those of you that don't know, my wife and I partner with another couple for A Weekend for Love. So make sure y'all check out A Weekend for Love if you want to invest in your marriage. Registration is open. And it's for couples I don't have to convince to pour into your marriage, to give it 3 days to the outside world. All right, so that's me. All right, but let me tell you who I brought in today, y'all. All right, so listen, y'all, I'm on my phone. I'm looking at Instagram, and I don't know how Instagram suggests people to you, all right? But she's a fellow doctor, so I could kind of understand the formula. But the thing that interested me was I was looking, I was like, oh, okay. She's a medical doctor. Okay, cool. All right. And then I said, all right, man, she's a sex expert. Okay. And then I noticed she can cook, and then she's a foodie. I'm like, oh, this is all going to... Then I see her jumping out of helicopters, shooting machine guns, beating up real dudes in the gym. I'm like literally like beating them up, right? Not play, not an Instagram reel. I was like, who is this woman? Is she FBI? Is she military? Is this the real black G.I. Jane, Dr. G.I. Jane, y'all? So I had to bring, I DM'd her, and she'll tell you. I DM'd her. I was like, what are you? Like, what am I seeing? And then when I delved in further, I said, I have to introduce her to the Heart with Dr. Tartt family. So I want to introduce to y'all Dr. Canary, all right? So y'all found on Instagram is Dr. Canary, all right? Yes. She goes by Natalia, but welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You know, did I do your informal bio right? Did I tell any lies?
You did justice to it. You really did good. You did good.
I mean, really, because I was going to talk smack. I was like, you get no smoke. When I saw you shooting a machine gun, I was like, oh no.
That's that military background. I was a military brat, so that's where that comes from.
I see. and you weren't like at a gun range. I don't know where you were. You were outside in the desert desert shooting targets from distance.
Yes.
Where were you?
Actually, there is a place outside of Vegas. I can't think of the name.
Okay.
So if anybody has any questions, I will probably later go back and send the link. But and they allow you can pay to actually come out there and get a military experience. And I did that for my birthday.
Okay. All right.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, I saw that. You were handling a machine gun like a real soldier, right? And I'm not. That's had nothing to do with you being a woman. I was looking like she a killer. She's a killer. But to give you your props. All right. You got your undergraduate degree in psychology, with a specialty in neuroscience
and theater.
And theater. That's right.
Yes.
So that's where the drama comes in.
Yes.
From Wesleyan, right? And then you got your master's from Walden.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And focusing on child and adolescent therapy and also sex education.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
All right.
Sexuality. That's
all right. And then you went on and got an MD.
I did.
I
don't know what convinced me to do that.
You know what? You're smart.
I don't even like school like that.
Don't lie. Washington University of Health and Science.
Correct.
And you're also certified as a sex therapist.
That is correct.
All right. Certified with degrees, right? And you have an expertise in that particular. I know you do a lot, as a doc. But you got an expertise in working with couples when it comes to having differences in sexual libido, sexual performance, intimacy issues, anxiety, stamina, the whole nine.
Everything.
All right?
I cover it all.
Oh, and that's why you're here. That's why you're here. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, so let's start light and then let's go heavy. Let's go heavy. All right, let's go heavy. All right. Look, first of all, I forgot. You had me so excited. I forgot to open up in prayer. Lord God, we thank you for today, Lord. We thank you for our guests. We thank you for Natalia. We thank you for Dr. Canary. We thank you, Lord, for bringing her in today. For every couple, everyone is looking at this right now and saying, I really want to go deep in my relationship. I want to figure out what's going on with intimacy. I don't want that to be a tripwire. I want it to be something that's actually celebrated, that accents who we are and allows us to be able to express ourselves, Lord. So we ask and pray that you allow us to have fun. You bless everyone who watches this and that you allow us to be a blessing to your people. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. That's beautiful.
All right. I appreciate it. All right. So let's talk. I want to go personal and then we'll go professional.
Let's
Is that
do
cool?
it. That's good with me.
All right. What is it? What's the best date you've ever been on?
Ooh, oh my gosh. And this person's going to know who they are too. If they see this.
Okay, all right.
I've been on some pretty amazing dates. I will give guys credit. I think when you set the bar high, like guys will try to exceed those expectations. That's for one. And so the best date I probably ever went on, the most creative date that I ever went on, is a guy, and it was so simple too. So first we went to the gun range.
Okay.
Because he knew
he know who you are.
Did some research. Well, he listened to what I said.
Okay.
Because I don't even think I was really on Instagram like that, posting as much, because this was a couple of years ago. So the first thing he did was we went to the gun range. I love adventure. I love anything where I'm gonna just really be excited and those endorphins and everything like that and adrenaline pumping. And then after that, we were supposed to actually go whitewater rafting.
Okay.
But then it stormed that day.
Okay.
So then he had to think quickly, and he was like, let's go for a hike. We went for an hour-long hike, got lost, found a waterfall, had a picnic.
He won.
He won.
I was gonna say what mine was, but I'm not gonna say anything after that.
It was so dope.
That's a dope date.
And then
he came with it.
He did. We ended the night having a dinner, like a candlelit dinner. So he
came strong.
He came so strong.
Natalia, you said when you set the bar high. How did you set the bar high for brothers to come in? Because he knew he had to come in on the. He came in heavy.
He did.
He came in hot.
And we were young too. This was like in my early 20s.
Okay, so he had a little cheese or some connections.
He did. He very intelligent. I think as a woman, just setting the bar high is about realizing that you have certain expectations and not going below those expectations. But it takes a while to do that as a woman because, you know, when you're young, you don't know anything about boundaries or setting boundaries, and you're still trying to figure yourself out as a woman, you know, because as women, we go through different stages in life. So a lot of times you kind of date maybe gentlemen that are toxic, or that are kind of put you in certain situations that you wouldn't usually put yourself in because you're still finding yourself. And so one of the things when I was younger that my mom would always tell me is you have to set the bar high. Like, don't, just because you feel lonely or you want to be in a relationship, don't just go for anything.
So are you telling him when y'all are on the phone, all right, I'm trying to be culturally relevant, when y'all on Bumble, whatever y'all do, you're going to educate me, right? When y'all on Bumble or whatever, Tinder, whatever it is, are you saying this is how I like to date? What are you saying?
You know what? I don't even think it has to be something that you say. And I'll give an example. When I was dating a couple months ago, because I recently became single last year after being in a 3-year relationship, which for me was interesting. I really got to see what my clients were going through out here because I didn't completely understand.
Okay.
But this is how I set the bar high. So I got asked out on a date. And the guy, he was like, let's go to the movies. Something really simple and cute, dinner and movies. Okay, cool. I love going to the movies. So he asked me the type of movies I like. I told him I like the fact that he was being inquisitive, asking questions.
Okay.
But then this is where he messed up. And this is where it's important as a woman to not be desperate and realize, okay, I have standards and I have boundaries. He was doing good up until he texts me, well, hey, do you prefer going to the movies or would you just like to come over and watch it on HBO Max?
Oh, man.
And I really liked him. Handsome, tall, educated, seemed like a great guy, great personality. So it could have went two ways. I could have been like, you know what? Well, it could be innocent, he maybe wants to cook dinner for me. I can just go over to his house and chill and see how it plays out. But for me personally, I am not going over no one's house on the first date. You could be a serial killer. You could be anybody. You could be crazy.
That's true.
So I told him, I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to decline. And then he asked me, he was like, hey, why? And then I told him, I said, honestly, because that's just below my expectations. Like, I do not want to come to your house for the first date.
How did he respond?
He was very apologetic and he called me and he tried to explain his side of the story and, simply say, hey, women do it. He was like, I didn't think this was an issue because he was like, every time I've asked a woman on a date to come to my house, they haven't had an issue with it. So that's, again, a lot of women, clearly they were okay with that. And if you are okay with that, then that's not a problem. But where could
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is a problem.
No, I'm saying if you are as a woman, if you're okay with doing that.
It's a problem. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. All right, because I'm going based upon what you said. He said a lot of women do it.
He did.
All right, and if I can offer a male perspective, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and gains favor in the Lord. But let me put that in practical application.
Okay, tell us.
If the number one quality for a husband, according to research, is influenceability.
Yes.
How influenceable he is. And if you're saying off rip for this guy, I'm not talking about coming over to the house for all guys. This guy that you described, this archetype, if you will. He asked you what you like, did he not?
He did.
You told him what you like. And then he offered something less than what you like.
Exactly.
Talk to me, Doc.
For me, and that's what I'm saying, for some women, that might be okay because it's clearly worked for him. That's why he was so thrown off as to why I cut him off. He was really like, I don't understand.
Did it work though for him?
In the past, maybe.
He got women over.
But he was actually, I'll give him credit, he was in a long relationship. So both of us had just got out of mine was 3 years, his was 5 years. And when he broke it down to me, that's how he got his first. So
I'm not going to disrespect you, brother. No disrespect.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that what he appreciated about you, because I know there's someone that you know. Right?
That I stood my ground.
Yes, and that men actually like that.
They do.
Actually, men actually like the challenge of saying, oh, you know what? You call me out on something other women would go for, but you don't go for the same.
Exactly.
Let me step up. All right. So, yeah. So, shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Right. I don't want no smoke. I don't want nobody pulling up and be like, yo, I saw the podcast. All right. I get it. Okay. Just quick question, then we'll dive in. Modern day, I have my oldest daughter is 16. Right? Yeah, 16 years old.
Is she dating?
She's not. She's not even interested, Natalia. Are you sure? I'm about 50-50 sure of that, right? Okay. I'm starting to see some stuff on Instagram, really TikTok. She don't post on Instagram. Right?
Okay.
I'm starting to see some TikTok-y stuff that she posts. And I ask her, I'm like, so what's up with this guy? What's up with that? Who do you like? So on and so forth. So I think
those are good questions.
She's getting there. She's getting there, right? I'm actually pushing her towards, because I want her to date before she goes to college.
Good.
All right. But anyway, I was telling her about dating and who should pay. And she was like 50-50. I said, oh no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What?
No, ma'am. We don't do 50-50. And she
We
looked
do
at me
not.
like I'm a woman. I have money. And why in modern day standards would he have to pay if I have money too? Let me get your thoughts. When dating, what responsibility should the man have in dating, according to you, Doc?
So this is just my personal opinion from my personal dating and advice. And I'll give a little advice of what I've given in the past as well. But what I will say is men are hunters naturally, right?
Facts.
This is research. I'm just not speaking from, this is research. And so men love a challenge.
True.
And if a man likes you, loves you, wants to get to know you, he is going to put his best foot forward. And I've seen it across the board. Okay. And so for the first date, and maybe even the second date, and the thing is with relationships, you do what works best for you, right? As long as it's healthy. Because some people do the things that work best for them and it's not healthy. But I feel like for the first 2, maybe 3 dates, allow the man to pay. Allow him to think of creative dates for you. You know, give him ideas, but allow him to take the lead on that. And then I do feel like as a woman, especially if you have money, offer. Because when I date, if the man has paid for the first 3-4 days, I will offer eventually and be like, hey, you know what? Let me take care of this. Or let me take you out on a date. Let's do something that you like to do. It works every time. Like
I feel you because brothers are like they were not feeling you at first, all right? All right. Actually, some were. It depends on the guy, right? There's some men who are offended that you would try to pay. If you even try to pay, it's offensive. I found when my wife tried to do that, I was like, "What you doing?" I'm not bragging, so I'm not bragging though. I have enough money for the date. Right. To me, that's how I interpret it. And I know men that are extremely affluent. They're like,
but she wanted to show that she respected your time as well, and that she valued you.
If you're talking about my wife, she knew I was gonna say no.
Exactly.
Right. She barely even reached in her purse. Right. You know how you motion.
That little fake.
She was like, "You won't
pretend, but not really."
No. I got points by saying no, by looking disrespected. What you talking?
Yeah,
I got your company. You with me. I asked you out. Exactly. You didn't ask me out. Have you found out in dating in Atlanta? And I know you're also from DC. You travel a bit.
Hey, shout out to DC.
Okay. You don't have a DC metro area accent. Though.
I was born there.
Okay, I ain't hear PG County.
But that's where all my family is. So DC is in my heart.
No disrespect. I used to live in Silver Spring, Maryland. So shout out. But have you found that when dating is that how men come at it? I mean, are they offering to pay? Are they stepping up? Is it 50-50? What is it?
I've had great dating experiences.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. That's why sometimes it's confusing to me when women are like, oh, these men out here, and I see it, but you're also choosing these men. So you have to take a little bit of accountability too for the man that you're allowing to continuously take you out on dates. Because if I see a red flag the first date and it's a major red flag, you're not gonna get a second date, sweetie. So, but I just don't play games. I date to get married. I date with intention.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to waste. And I'm older too. I'm no longer in my 20s. So for me, let's date with intention. So
what is that intention to tell you?
Asking the right type of questions for sure. Simple as that. You have to ask questions. I think on the first date, people are scared to ask questions. They're scared to ask certain questions because they're like, oh, I don't want the guy to like run away. I don't want him to be scared of me. But it's like, if you're dating for marriage or you're dating for whatever you're dating for, or you just want a serious relationship, because not everyone wants to get married. Some people want to be in just a long-term relationship, and that's okay too. But whatever you want, you need to be firm in that. And say, hey, this is what I want. Do you want the same thing? And men, sometimes when you tell them what you want, they'll act like they want it too. And then that's where your intuition, that is where you have to look at his actions versus words. Because time and time again, people cannot pretend to be something that they're not. Eventually, their true colors will shine.
The behavior. You don't listen to what they say. You watch what they do.
You watch what they do.
You gave me permission to ask this question.
Okay.
All right. And I know what you're thinking. All right. You see, I primed you right there. Right. I primed you right there. What's your dating status? I know the men are watching. I told you this heart to heart. This heart to heart with Dr. Tartt.
And you know what? I don't talk about this on Instagram.
The streets are watching.
I am in a healthy, happy relationship.
Okay. All right. Are you interested in marriage?
Oh, we're getting married.
Brother, call me. Brother, call me. Right? Call me. I heard that. I got it.
No, we're both dating with the intention to get married. We're still getting to know one another, but that is the intention.
How did both of you all communicate that?
Oh, you getting the inside
dating?
scoop, because I do not talk about my dating
I
life
didn't ask for the brother's name. I ain't asked for his Instagram handle. I didn't ask what he did. I just asked, how did he communicate, and how did you all communicate what your intentions were?
So we were actually friends first. So we got to know each other at a very a friend level, which is a bit different than dating someone. But then once he found out I was single and I found out he was single, we he was just very upfront. He was like, listen, I'm older and seasoned. Like the fact I say he's older, seasoned, older than me. And he was just like, I want marriage. He was like, I want marriage and I want kids. Are these the same things that you want? And I was like, yes, I want marriage. I want kids. And then we just started breaking down like how we communicate, how we comprehend, our morals, our values. Like we just started digging deep from the beginning. And it's been beautiful.
I love it.
We're on the same page.
I love it. And I'll just give you feedback. It's your presence. When you say, "Oh, we get married," that brother's laughing, right? He's like, yeah. And when women come with that presence, so we start talking about he who findeth a wife, that means that you were a wife when he met you. You were already, I'm her. Right. The question is, do we fit? Are you my husband, and vice versa? Right. And so what I took away from that was, when a woman shows up with presence, when a man shows up with presence, you act accordingly.
Yes.
And in the previous situation, you behaved as a woman who wanted to be courted appropriately because of what you're going to give him. Like,
exactly.
You court me, you're going to get that back.
Yes.
In reciprocity, brother. So
exactly.
Come correctly. I love it.
And just doing work individual too, like your individual healing, because a lot of times I talk to my clients about dating while healing, which to me is a very difficult thing to do. So I feel like take a break from dating for a little bit. Get to know yourself. I love solo traveling. I travel solo at least once a year by myself, just to sit with myself and be alone. Because
being modest. I've seen you take 2 or 3 trips this year. I just want to put that out there, right?
I did. I took a trip to Egypt with Jet Black Travel. Shout out to them.
Okay.
An amazing trip, an amazing experience. But take trips by yourself. And it doesn't have to be internationally if you're not comfortable with that, but even just a road trip. Drive an hour somewhere just by yourself, sit with yourself and sit with your thoughts. And you will be surprised at the growth and how you evolve as a person when you're able to do that.
That's real. I mean, even Jesus went to the secret place, and this is someone who was the savior, right? So he used to go to the garden, the secret place, and pray by himself. And in society where we're around a lot of people, or we can be home but not present. Right, exactly. We're not really reflecting. So I like that advice.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
How do you? And I want to show this clip in just a second. How do you avoid in relationships? I want to get your thoughts on this because you sent me this clip. All right.
Oh yes.
Of Lauren London talking about possession in a relationship, because I think a lot of women out there, and for the guys too.
Yes.
Like how do I get into a healthy relationship without feeling possessed? I want to be claimed.
Right.
I want to be protected, but I don't want to be possessed. All right. So let's show this clip of Lauren London and get your thoughts.
A lot of times, not all the time, we are in such of in our ego that we are in possession of another person. We're not experiencing them. We're not totally loving them and letting them be free. We think we're supposed to be together forever. And that's not a spiritual relationship. Spiritual relationship is without the ego. It is we are together. I bring you up, inspire you, you inspire me. Now, if there ever comes a point where I'm not inspired anymore and that now I'm in my ego, now I feel I need to possess you, now I feel the need to control you, in your mind, I'm in my ego.
She dropped some amazing gems in that interview. If you guys get a chance, watch the full interview of what she speaks about, because she's just coming from a place of healing and growth. And I mean, it was just beautiful. But to speak about possession, it's interesting because as human beings, there are certain things that we all want, right? We all want love. We all want companionship. And when you get those things, it's beautiful. It's a magnificent feeling. But then you seem to some people become a bit possessive, because then what happens is the lines get blurred, and it's like, oh, I love this person so much. Why they got to go out without me? Why can't I come and hang out with your friends? And I'm talking about vice versa, men and women.
Thanks.
And you want to be around that person all the time. But honestly, as people, we need space. We need space to grow. We need space to be individuals, even within a relationship. And so what I've seen is that it gets unhealthy, because then you feel like that person is your possession and you become possessive over that person. And then it becomes unhealthy a lot of the times, because then you're checked constantly. There's a difference between doing a check-in and saying, hey babe, I'm going here, see you in a little bit, hanging out with the boys, or I'm hanging out with the girls, to the point where you're like, where are you at? How come I haven't heard from you in an hour? What time you coming home? Like, why haven't you hit me up? It's about the tone and the questions.
What's that about, Dr. Canary? What's that about? Because people are resonating with that right now, even as teens, even as teenage.
Oh yes,
right?
I feel like it starts there.
Let me put our photo as your photo on TikTok. Our mutual photo is your Instagram photo. Code to the phone. Let me go password to you, so on and so forth. What's the undercurrent if someone is going through that right now? As a doc, what should they be on the lookout for? What is that person communicating when they're constantly trying to check in to where you don't feel like you have freedom?
If it's not mutual, and this is the thing, it can be mutual to the point where, like with my boyfriend and I, we tell each other like, hey babe, we're going here really quickly. I'll be done in an hour. Hit you back then. But I don't continuously follow up with him. If he's going out with his friends, I let him go out with his friends. When I go out with my friends, he lets me go out with my friends. Like, we might text a little bit, but it's not like a constant check-in. Like, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? Well, you said you was going to be home at midnight. It's 1:00. Oh, you still out with the girls? Why? It's not like that. It's very healthy to the point where I know he'll call me once he gets back in. He knows I'll call him. And we have our individual groups of friends. So the red flags in this situation is when you start to feel suffocated, because it's a feeling that you're going to get. We all have intuition, which a lot of times we don't use sometimes. So if you start to feel like this is kind of becoming suffocating, like I cannot go out with so-and-so without having to constantly check in. This is creating arguments in our relationship. You going out and having a good time every now and again in a safe space with your friends should not create arguments or turmoil. Yeah. So those are red flags. If it is starting to create that, then that's when a conversation needs to be had.
There it is. I mean, in this case, that brother or sister's communicating trust issues.
Yes.
So I can't trust that love is enough, Natalia. I can't trust, because I trusted before.
Right.
And she did X, Y, and Z, whether it was mama, whether it was X. So since I can't trust love, and I'm probably dealing with some attachment issues.
Absolutely.
Right? I can't trust our bond, who we are. I have to control you. I have to check on you to make sure that you're not in the arms of someone else or going away from me. So that is something that I really want y'all to watch out for and just ask. Yes. Tell me in pre-screening dating.
Yeah, and even in dating, it's really actually kind of fun to do the attachment quiz. I have couples do that all the time. I did it myself, to go through the different attachments and to see where they're at. Are they at avoidant? Are they secure? Where are they at in their attachment? So that way you know what you all need to work on.
I think that is the number one question that needs to be asked. Date one. Now, granted, I'm a psychologist,
right? So,
but if you want me to keep it a buck, if you want me to keep it real, because people come to us, well, why didn't this work out? Right? First thing I'm gonna ask about, tell me about this brother's attachment.
They're not gonna be able to tell you.
They need first date.
We don't study and that's the thing. Study
break
who
it down.
You're dating.
You mentioned attachment styles, but we're medical professionals. We're professionals. We get this language. Break it down for our audience when they start looking at attachment in layman's terms, right, and what they're looking for.
So it's so important to ask the right questions. You want to know who this person is. In the dating stage, that is where you can see the red flags. So recognize their attachments. And when you're recognizing their attachments, not only just taking quizzes together, which is just a lot of fun in general, but actually digging deep, asking questions. Why did your last relationship end?
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like you could have done better in your last relationship? A lot of people do not ask about people's last relationships and why it ended.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't know why. Some of those questions
What do you think
you
they're
need
gonna lie?
to know.
They think they're gonna lie.
Well, they do think that they're going to lie. And they might lie. But
You can tell,
actions
though.
are everything. And so when you're dating and you first go out with your friends, he might not say anything. But what about the second or the third time you go out with your friends? How does he interact with your friends? I was in a dating situation where every time I would go out with my friends,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't like it. And he would always have like his mood would shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to notice that. Do they even want to do double dates with your friends? A lot of guys that want you just for themselves and have that possessive mentality won't even like to do double dates.
Right. They want to cut you off. Warning flag. They want to cut you off from your
Yes.
support network so that they're the only source.
Right.
Because then I can control you. If I'm your only source of entertainment, your friend, your prayer partner, your lover, so on and so forth, and it's just us. How you gonna set limits with me? If I'm that guy, if I'm everything.
Exactly.
So I tell like teen girls and I tell women, you shouldn't date unless you have 3 to 4 solid girlfriends already whom you spend time with.
Yes.
All right. So that's deep. So listen, look at take that attachment quiz because you need to know who you're dating. If there's a man or a woman who does not trust and they're not working on their trust issue, you should not date them.
Yeah.
I know that's a hard line.
It is.
I'm trying to help you.
We are.
Right.
And ask them, have they went to counseling? That's a question I would ask on dates. Have you ever been to
How
therapy?
you feel about it? Oh, I ain't going.
How do you
Okay.
exactly? How do you feel about? And I feel like everybody should go to therapy.
Facts.
I even go to therapy still. I'm a psychiatrist and I go to therapy. I have a therapist.
You say y'all the craziest ones, not psychologists. It's
Okay,
y'all.
so
Right. Just
you
keep
know
it.
what?
Y'all know that's real. You know that's heavy. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
Right.
I might agree just a
But
bit.
I'm in that piece. Hey, if my wife and I argue 3 times, we call it. Right? I call first. I'm like, tell Dr. Felix what you said. Keep that same energy because I'm already practicing in rehearsal for this therapy session. She said this. Guess what I said? Right? But ask Inglewood. I call my wife Inglewood. That's where she's from. Ask Inglewood what she said. Right? Anyway,
You just be ready to.
I'm
snitch.
ready because I don't want to argue. You know, a little bit of disagreements is healthy for a relationship.
Right.
But when you start talking about the same thing over and over again, it starts to erode where it ain't even fun.
Yes.
You know, we argue harder if people of color. At first it's cool, and about the 5th argument, Natalia, I might even let you get started. You're like, we need to talk. I'm like, about what?
Right.
We already at it.
You like, Lord.
Watch your face. Like, who you talking to? Right? We can't
You
even,
rather go do something totally.
the pre-argument. We ain't even got into it. All right, well,
Exactly.
let's pivot a little bit. All right, let's pivot a little bit. All right, let's talk about your work, right? There was a study that was done and it shocked me, right? It shocked me. And it was asking what the number one cause for divorce within the first year is. So not the number one cause of divorce. For couples who divorced in the first year, why did they go their separate ways? And there was one solid answer. All right. You want to tell the people what it is?
Oh, it's probably sexual compatibility. Incompatibility.
It's not probable. It's
Right.
definite.
It's
right?
always sex, communication, and money.
Yeah.
Always.
But people expect we gonna have some communication issues.
Right.
We gonna have some financial issues. We may have some parenting issues. We may even have some trust issues.
Right.
We may have to deal with some indiscretions. I'm not saying people have a tolerance for that, but we may.
Right.
But to have sexual incompatibility or sexual problems
Right.
and forecasting that times 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, depending on when you're getting married, that is what causes people to tap out.
And you know what? That's funny to me because sexual incompatibility is actually, most people are going to experience that or have experienced
What are you
it.
seeing? What are you seeing, Doc?
So one, sexual compatibility, just to break it down, sexual compatibility is where you and your partner are on the same page with your sexual preferences, whether that's your desired frequency, whether that's your turn-ons. You guys like the same things sexually. You are sexually compatible, but it takes work. It takes work. You can still be married to someone that you're sexually incompatible with and make it work. And that's when couples come to me, because I've dealt with couples where one was a virgin and one wasn't, and they got married. And then the husband was like, the sex is whack. And I'm like, Sir.
For the culture, let's go there just for a second, all right? Because society is split. I come from a church background, but I meet people where they are, right? Which I love, right?
Yes, that's what you have to do.
Well, I'm a psychologist. I mean, we're kind of forced to do that.
Yes.
I went into the ministry later, right? I went to the ministry. I've been in the ministry like 4 or 5 years, but I've been a psychologist 22 years. You know what I'm saying? So I look, but,
wow.
But so they're split. They're split. Should we wait until marriage, right? And that is a silent culture. People think that people are not doing it. People are doing it, right?
Yeah, people are
should we wait, or for that reason, should I try out the goods to avoid, not because I'm a heathen, but to avoid sexual incompatibility issues that would ruin marriage? I mean, what are you seeing couples bring in? How do you help them navigate that conversation?
So I always say to couples, do what works best for you. Do what's going to be healthy for your relationship. Do what you communicate, because what works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. Everyone is different. But what I will say is, even if you guys decide I'm going to test the waters before we get married, sexual incompatibility can still come later on down the road. After you've been married for 10 years and you're trying to spice things up in the bedroom. Because I have couples that are 20 years my senior that come to me and they're like, we've tried everything. So we're just trying to figure out something new to spice up and make our sexual intimacy vibrant again. And that's where I help them. So for the couples that are, let's say you do have one partner that's a virgin and the other partner isn't, it's patience. That's what it takes. It takes patience and it takes communication.
Patience
and then
with what? I mean, you know my personality. All right,
with understanding.
I'll have to represent for the men out there and the ladies. What am I patient with? Help me.
I'm about to break it all the way down.
Thank you. Help me be patient with this not being what I want.
You can't expect your partner to be hanging from chandeliers and doing 50 Shades of Grey things when they are a virgin or they have not had that many partners. And let's say even if they have had a lot of partners, everyone's experiences are different and what they feel comfortable with. So I tell people, when you're talking about sexual compatibility or incompatibility, there's 3 things you want to look forward to or out for. Timing, tone, and your turf when you talk about these things. So let's start with timing.
Yeah, break that down.
First of all, you do not want to talk to your partner about any sort of intimacy or sexual compatibility or incompatibility when they're angry, hangry, hungry, and angry, or they're tired. Wait till you guys are both upbeat, neutral ground. Don't talk about it in the bedroom. Do not talk about your sexual problems in the bedroom when you're about to go to bed, about to have sex, just had sex. Do it at the kitchen table. Do it when you guys are going for a walk together. Do it any other time, but not in the bedroom.
Dr. Canary, help me out. I'm a man. I'm married. I love my wife. I want to be with her. But the sex is not, I'm talking married couples. The sex is not what I need to be happy. And I have a dilemma. I love my wife, but the sexual piece is a problem. And that's where you enter. What advice do you give to that man with his wife, whether she was a virgin or not? What should he do to help out his marriage when it comes to intimacy? What are some things you recommend or have recommended to clients?
Well, it depends too what exactly he's looking for. Is it libido? You want sex? Because that's what I see a lot of times with men. They're like, oh, I want it every day. And the wife's like, listen, I got kids. I got this. I got that. He can get it once a week. So then that's where you have to compromise and even schedule sex. I know that sounds boring, but when you have kids and you have a lot going on, you're hectic, you're a businessman, businesswoman, schedule sex, because then it's on the calendar. And 1, it gets excited for him because he knows, oh, I'm getting it this day. And then 2, you know, it's coming up so you can properly prepare for it. So I know it sounds boring, but it works for a lot of the couples that I speak to on a regular basis. And then 2, what exactly do you want? Are you communicating your needs and wants? And you got to remember too, with sex, you can also masturbate. There's co-masturbation. You can masturbate by yourself if you feel like you have a really high libido and your partner just isn't there at that moment, or maybe she's not in the mood, masturbate. And then afterwards, cuddle together, practice that intimacy, massage on each other. There's so many different things that you can do without just the penetration itself.
You saw me laughing when you were talking. All right. Because, I was thinking about couples that come in. what I hear you saying is that they have to talk about it.
Communicate.
Because I can see couples where, self-pleasure is a problem.
Yes.
Because I want you, and then you self-pleasured, and now you like I'm good.
It's mostly with men. Men, for whatever reason, do not like when women self-pleasure. Guys, use it to your advantage. Studies show that 40% of couples that use toys, that self-pleasure, have a better sex life than those that don't.
That was a low number. That was a low number.
It's really not in the scheme of things. I'm like, what? In the scheme of things, it's not. It's really not.
How do you have that conversation?
So this is an activity that I like to do. This is one of my little secrets.
Before I say that,
Okay.
right? So what does the man do when he wants? There's a libido discrepancy. He's saying, I want it every day or every other day, and she's like once a week. But then she takes care of herself,
Right.
and then she says no.
And that's the thing. That's where compromising comes in. Because why is she just taking care of herself? Like, what else? Women and men in general are going to want to self-pleasure, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then you also have to figure out, well, how can I incorporate my partner into this? Maybe using toys, maybe intimacy, massaging each other, and then letting things take it a bit further, or allow her to pleasure herself. For some women, that is our time alone. That is our intimacy time with ourselves. That's self-care to us.
But isn't that what we're here? Isn't that what we're for?
You guys are, but you guys still masturbate.
I'm pushing. I'm pushing. Doc.
It's good though.
I want you to educate the people.
Couples need to hear this, that it's okay to self-pleasure and still incorporate your partner in that as well. Because guess what? We're not around all the time.
Right.
Maybe you had a stressful day at work. I'm downstairs taking care of the kids or we're out doing whatever we need to do. And you need your little 15 minutes alone.
No, I get it. I think that the message here, I know the message here is communicate. And
Absolutely.
This is something a lot of couples are afraid to communicate, like money.
They are.
Right. Background, attachment. This is something
it makes people nervous.
But it's why couples are decoupling, if I'm making up a word. It's why they're going their separate ways, is because that is, again, a part of communication.
It is.
Right? And so couples have to have conversations about pleasure, about desire, about eroticism, about sexual eroticism, right? Let me ask you this, all right? I'm going to take you there because this is why you're on the show.
Right.
What are your thoughts and what do you see about women who feel obligated? What happens psychologically? What happens from a libido standpoint when women feel obligated to please their husbands?
So it's a tricky subject, that one. But I've seen it before. So typically, people that have lower libidos, this happens a lot with couples that have like one partner has a lower libido than the other. Then they start to feel obligated. Like, I want to keep my man or my wife, so I do these things out of obligation. So one, there's a conversation that needs to be had with that. What is the reason why you don't like to be sexual? Or sometimes it's even with intimacy. I know couples that one partner doesn't like to cuddle. It's very uncomfortable for that person to cuddle with their partner. So you have to figure out where that comes from. Is it from a history of trauma? And I've seen that a lot. It is typically sometimes from a history of trauma. And have you went to therapy for that? Because therapy would help with that. And then if you don't like to cuddle, then don't cuddle your partner, but maybe just have them cuddle you, or vice versa. So if touch is uncomfortable for you, like I don't like to be touched, but your partner likes to be touched, then maybe just touch them. Don't have them touch you, but just touch them. And the thing is with being in a relationship, you have to realize it's going to be compromise. It's going to be compromised, or the relationship is not going to work. It's going to be compromised. It's going to be communication. And I feel like in any relationship, sometimes you do feel like there's an obligation to your partner because you want your partner to be happy.
Does that backfire?
It can.
How? What do you see?
It can backfire if you know that you truly don't like those things and you're not voicing why you don't like those things or where that's coming from. If you know that you've dealt with past trauma, but then your partner doesn't know, how are they supposed to understand where you're coming from? Because that's all it is having an understanding.
I mean, it's real. I mean, we talk about it on two fronts. You know, I dated someone where that was an issue and it did backfire. Like, because I no longer was interested in being with her. I didn't even want to. I didn't even want to be associated with her.
Because then you felt like,
I like you more than that.
right.
You see what I'm saying? And she was like, nah. And I was like, I don't want to be in that mix.
Right.
I don't want to pressure you.
Yes.
Look,
because it was awkward from your
let's
standpoint.
just be friends. But then I went friend zone.
Right.
But like, we still
That's
dating.
happened.
I'm still taking you out. But she was like touching me. I was like, nah, I'm not going to be chapter 2 after chapter. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's work that you both have to go through, because that's unfair to her, but that's also real to me, and being a gentleman. Like, I don't even want to traumatize you like that. Look, it's not that big a deal to me. I like you more than for your body. All right. But for her, she was like, nah. Right. So we have to work through that.
And that's the thing. If you realize that if you're stagnant and you're having those communication issues, that's where you and I come in. That's where we are able to help you all figure out and bridge, because there's exercises and I'll give you 2 little exercises I love to have couples do. One is a checklist. I have like a sex checklist and an intimacy checklist, and pretty much both couples do it separately, and then they switch. And it amazes me, even couples that have been married like 10, 15 years, they're like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to do this, because there was no communication.
Right.
And then afterwards, they're like, Dr. Canary, oh my gosh, like last night's session was amazing, because then we went home and we talked about it and we explored one another. And then the other exercise I like to have couples do is go to the sex store together. And now Target even has toys, lubes, so you can go in Target and simply do things like this. And you just explore. And you together, and it's fun, and people learn to communicate together. They learn to have fun together, and it's a great activity, because it also is that intimacy and that bonding.
I'm gonna take the other side on that just to balance it out. All right, what is the downside to toys? All right, for couples.
The downside, I think, to me, a lot of times would be if one partner is uncomfortable with it and they're just kind of going with the flow, because I've seen women where they want to start off big, and I'm like, okay, let's just bring it down to maybe just like a small little vibrator. Like, for some men, it's very uncomfortable for them to see toys.
Yeah, and I've also seen a lot of couples where they say they developed a tolerance, or they preferred the toy over their husband. Right. Yes. Because how we'd operate, and just the habit of using it over and over again, that there was less desire. Now, this is not all couples, of course, but there were some who had less desire for I'm good. Right. Yeah. Or you don't stimulate me the same way the toy does.
And I will say, when I've seen that, though, a lot of it had to do with, one, the lack of the intimacy. Like, they weren't having as much sex as they wanted, regardless. And so a lot of women, when they're choosing their toy over you, most of us want touch. We want that sexual energy. We want to feel connection. So when you realize that the relationship is starting to kind of spiral downward, that's when women typically start using their toy more often. When they feel like, you know what, you and I aren't communicating anyway. We barely having sex anyway. Yes, I'd rather my toy, because my toy is not going to argue back with me.
Yeah. So it's another thing for couples to talk about, right? So we can take both sides, and you can see, for you have to figure out what works. For a lot of couples, you're right, it takes them to a next level. And for other couples, it takes them in the negative, because your body is less sensitive to me, and I see it, and neither one of us like it. How do we negotiate, around that? All right, let's talk about men and women briefly. Because you mentioned this, right? You said it, and I had a visceral reaction, right? You remember we talked about on the phone yesterday?
Yes.
All right. Well, tell the people what you asked me, and then I caught myself having a level of self-awareness.
Oh, wait, which question was it?
Because we're talking about what you bring to the bedroom. So I'll set you up. So we're talking about, most men feel like they already know what they're doing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. This was a good one. Yeah. Okay, yes. I remember this. So we were talking about how some people, and men and women, because women too,
That's facts.
Are afraid to learn new things in the bedroom. So a lot of us come into the bedroom with all this confidence, thinking like, I know I pleased my partner. I know I gave her an amazing experience. It was off the charts.
Right.
When your partner really has not been satisfied.
And and you were like, how do you know? I said, I know,
Right.
And I was speaking on terms of men, but then I thought about what you said, and this is why I love you being on the show right now, right? And as a woman, right, as a doc, but as a woman, I want you to keep it real, right?
Absolutely.
Is that I saw her facial expression. I saw what I was able
We
to
fake it.
do.
There probably is not a woman alive, ladies, that we fake it.
Why?
A lot.
Why?
We have to, because we want to save you guys' ego.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times. And this, I think, is something as a woman, once you come into truly being in your feminine essence and having that confidence, then you're okay with saying, listen, babe, I love you to death, but there's some things that I would just like you to tweak a little bit. And it's all about tone.
Right.
And I know it hurts because even, as a woman, if a man was to come to you and say, listen, that wasn't a 10, it was more like a 5 or a 6, but that should be motivation. Like if we
don't
are
say
in
5 or
this for
6, say lie and say 8 or 9 for ego.
No, I disagree. I think that you should be 100% honest. And I'm not saying be degrading, but be honest.
Give me the sentence.
I ask people I say use a scale from 0 to 10. 10 being the best. There is don't change nothing. 0 to 5, room for improvement. Use the word room for improvement, okay? And maybe 6 to 8 being it's good. Maybe we could just do some tweaking.
Just for the male ego, and I'm gonna say, thou shalt not lie, but I'm gonna say if it really is a 5, just say an 8, just because people always want to get to that 9 or 10. And if I'm keeping it real, I think a fragile ego, if I can be male, I know someone that won't think it's a 5, right? Just for repair, even though everything you said was facts, right? So I think we have to be very, very sensitive.
Well, then don't use a scale at all.
Then
I would say, don't.
To a secure man or woman, they can.
You have to know your man or your woman.
A 5.
You have to know your man or your woman. So if you know that a scale might kind of trigger him and he'll shut down, then just be like, you know what, babe, I want to try this. And teach him and show him.
I love it.
I love when you do this. Oh, remember when you did that one thing? Can you do that again? Can you do a little bit more often? So guide him.
That's why you're here, Doc. What's the sin? Because you gave it. So let's talk. Because we're not here. We're not here to have ego. Right? You're here. I picked you because you keep
love,
it real.
like Lauren London said, we're trying to. That's what we want to obtain. And naturally, as human beings, the ego is going to be in there.
And that's why I asked you to come on, because I was like, oh, she definitely gonna go back and forth, right? And she gonna represent for what needs to be. Right. So it's and if I go too far, you're gonna try and kill me with a machine gun, right? But let's talk about what do men. For men who don't want their woman to fake, right? But realizing that they know very little about the female body, and there's very little education about what a grown woman wants from her husband for a lifetime. What do you see? What do men need to ask? If there's anything you just want to straight tell men, but realize this show is PG-13 ish.
I'll keep it PG-13.
All right, but give the men some information about what they need to ask or do in pleasing a woman, so the woman does not have to feel obligated or forced or pressured to underreport her satisfaction.
So when fellas come to me, the number one thing I do is ask them about human anatomy, and it's because I have a medical background, so. Right. A lot of men do not know what a vulva is. They don't know what a vagina is. It helps. I will not say every man needs, but it helps when you know where her spots are. Because the clitoris does not sit that far back. So I'm not going to go into great detail. You say keep PG-13. 4 inches is all you need to reach certain spots.
Okay.
So my thing is also communicate with your partner. Ask questions. Hey, did you like when I did this? Body language, fellas. It's all in the body language. Now, we can fake moans.
We don't have to keep PG-13. We just keep it married.
Okay.
All right, because I was going in my head and I could see the comments.
Right.
Like, no, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here for.
Right.
You want to go PG-13
Right.
and we dealing with it.
We're gonna keep it anatomically correct.
Keep
That's
it
what we'll
anatomically
say.
correct and keep it
We'll
and
keep
keep
it
it married.
research,
Can't keep it
science
real
based.
married stuff
There
that you
we
say.
go.
So you free.
You can fake moans, but you look at facial expressions. Look at eyes. Look at body language. If a woman tenses up a little bit, that's probably a sign that whatever you're doing is not working. When she is relaxed, and I mean legs relaxing, shoulders relaxing, really read her body. Also, touch different places. We have a lot of zones in our body that people don't know about. Behind the knee, the feet, the side of the neck. There are other places just besides the vagina and the breast that you want to. So study your woman. See what she likes. Don't be afraid to ask questions too.
3 words.
Temperature.
I love it. Go ahead.
Yes, temperature. Okay, so temperature is another thing. Play with hot and cold.
Okay.
Play with hot and cold.
I think they get that.
I'll just say ice and candle wax, the kind that you can pour on a woman. You'll find that at the store.
You'll have some 50-year-old people with their backs getting burnt.
But I'm just saying, you have to explore your woman's body, and we don't explore our partner's body to truly know what they like. When's the last time you gave your wife a massage, a body massage?
Oh, it's been a minute. But if you we're gonna be transparent. We were at a Weekend for Love. We have a nightcap experience, right? Where we bring.
When I get married, I'm gonna attend.
We bring. If you get engaged,
Okay, so you take engaged couples.
Yes, we do,
okay.
because of the environment. We want them to learn from seasoned couples, and we want seasoned couples to be able to feel the vibe of newlyweds and engaged couples. It's a beautiful thing. But we have a nightcap experience for this reason, right? Because I was like, PG-13, but then I know even ministers would be like, nah, come on, bro, right? Yes. The church needs this. The general community needs this. But the experts came in, all right? Derico and E. Michelle, we loved them. They came in and they were talking, and I was elbowing Mecca, and Mecca was elbowing me, right? And I was like, "You like that?" I was like, people start talking in the middle. You like that? And she was like, "Actually, I do." I was like, "You serious?"
See, you communicated though to find out. Do you like that? That's a great question.
I had to tell her, look, I am not that sensitive. I actually want to be that 9 or 10 for real. Our worst nightmare is the DJ Envy situation with his wife, where she faked
for years.
For 10 years, she faked the big O, right? Men don't want that. And then, we start to feel that. Now, that can be a breeding ground for infidelity, because I feel you just turning over and you're not excited for me. Right. I need excitement. I need someone to be excited, and it goes both ways, So it led to conversations, right? And it led to me like, I don't know everything that I thought I knew. I can't remember the name of the website. I think it's like
we're always constantly learning.
There was something like OMY yes or something, and it was just talking about how when I had turned on, my stomach started hurting, right? But it was grade A level sex education about women's anatomy, right? And I was like, everything I thought I knew, I didn't know. So I'm co-signing with you. I am taking what you're saying and highlighting it, standing up in the choir, that men have to have that conversation. Absolutely. And women have to.
Yes, and as women, we have to be okay with communicating back and stating, hey, this is what I like. This is what I want. And ladies, do it in a tone that's, your man. You know what tone works best for him. You know what tone he doesn't like. Use it in a tone where he's going to be responsive. And fellas, look at what your wife is watching. There are movies that I've seen where I'm like, okay. And my man was like, you like that? I was like, that's what's up.
It's funny. I came home and I came home and Mecca was watching TV, right? She was watching Power, right? She was watching Power, and I said, "Hey, babe." She didn't say anything. I said, "Hey, babe." She didn't respond. She was into this TV. I said, "Babe." And she did like this, like, wait a minute. And so then
you should have turned and watched.
For the first time I looked, right, and it was a love scene with Ghost. Okay. Now the backstory is Ghost and I know each other. Omar and I, he's from Decatur.
I've actually never watched
Power before. So I'm looking this is awkward, right? This is my boy, right? All right, but the guy looked good. I'm secure enough, all right?
Right.
So I go upstairs. I act like I don't care. You know,
Right.
I can't be insecure, right?
Right.
She comes upstairs. But in my mind, I was like, I can't wait to Serena Williams start playing tennis. I can't wait to Lauren London AT. I'm going to pause it. I can't wait to get her back, right? I'm in my feelings, right? And then she was like, oh, babe, what you need? I said, nah, nothing now. She was like, babe, you in your feelings? I said, no. She says, babe, I know you. What's up? And I was like, you why don't you ask Ghost what's up? So interested in him. Ask Ghost how his day was, because you are not interested in mine. She said, baby, I don't like Ghost, right? I said, baby, yes, you do. She says, I don't like Ghost, right? She was like, whether she was lying or not, right? She said the right thing. I don't like Ghost. What I like was the scene. Bam. All right. I said, well, run that back.
Exactly.
If you want me to put on a white t-shirt and pour some baking
there.
soda on your back for drugs, that excites you. That's what
Fellas, you have to pay attention. If you notice that she's watching a certain type of movie, or like when 50 Shades of Grey, women were flocking to that. There's a reason why. There's something in there that woman liked, and vice versa. Women need to do the same thing. But fellas need to also remember that it takes us longer anatomically to get our body going than it does men. And I think a lot of men fail to realize that sometimes the experience for women can be a whole 45 minutes.
I love
intimacy and everything. So keep that in mind, guys, as well. And that's why intimacy is so important to start off with. Foreplay, all those things are very important to start off with.
I can't wait. I know they're gonna be DMing you and getting the information.
I'm here to help.
This is important. And then last thing, I have to keep it balanced. What is it? What is that women need to know about men and their needs?
Honestly, everything that I gave for men, women can do the same. Pay attention to what your man is watching, and this might be taking it porn just briefly, and I have a love-hate relationship with it, but if you already are in a healthy relationship, it can be healthy for the relationship to see what your partner likes, what he's into, watch porn together, and then I'll just leave it at that. But study your partner. Men, I don't want to say that y'all are basic, but you guys are more black and white than women are. When you really pay attention to what a man says, to how he acts, to the things that he likes, you can really tap into your man and be like, you know what? I know my man likes this. And the same thing with you guys, facial expressions, the sounds that you make, and also just experimenting, trying different things. Men love to be romanced too, ladies.
That's real. That's real.
They like massages as well. They like gifts as well. They like candlelight dinners. Run a bath for your man. Put some roses around the tub. Have some candlelight going on. Men love that stuff. They eat it up.
Men like to be catered to
Absolutely.
to different degrees, you know. And then on the other side of porn, because you said love hate, I'll take the opposite end. It does ruin a lot of marriages, right? Because whenever you add a third element, all right, and I just represent, you know, just for the line, when there's a third element outside of you and your lover, right, sometimes that third element will become a habit to where the sex between the two of you doesn't feel as heightened because we can't have the TV on, or we can't have a third person, or we can't have X, Y, and Z. So just guard against it. You'll see personally what works for you, right?
And that's why I say I have a love-hate relationship with it, because I agree it can do that, but I've also seen it help marriages as well. But it's a very thin line, and I hate it for teenagers. I don't like when teenagers watch it because they don't understand.
That's a whole other show.
And
that being the first exposure to males to real intimacy.
Exactly.
Dr. Canary, you did not disappoint.
Oh,
but I knew you wouldn't. All right,
I appreciate. It's been such an honor to be on.
Well,
the show.
listen.
I look up to you.
Well,
you've been doing this 22
years. You say that, but you hold your own, and that's why you're here. I appreciate it. To give a balanced perspective, because there's people going to be on both sides. We have to get away from this binary thinking that's killing the country. Either you're Republican, you're Democrat, you pro-abortion, you anti-abortion, you pro trying new things, you whatever, you against it. We're more complex than that.
Right.
And
do what works for you.
We have to have a conversation that's the bridge to one another.
Yes.
Tell the people how to find you, because I know your practice is going to be popping more than it already is.
So you can find me at Dr. Canary. That's my personal page, dr.canary. And then I have my business page where I just really speak about mental health and sexual health. And that's at mind.body.sex.
One more time.
Oh, one more time. So my personal page is Dr. Canary. That's Dr.Canary. And then my business page where I talk about sexual health and mental health is mind.body.sex. If you would love to schedule a consultation with me, you can find me at Dr. MBS.
There it is. There you have it. There you have it. So listen, y'all, well, I'm so excited about today. I hope this blessed your marriage. I hope this blessed your future marriage. If you're not married right now, to have this conversation, because God wants you to have the best love making possible when it comes to marriage. And we don't have to avoid that conversation. And so when you add your feelings and thoughts and needs and desires plus your partners, now the marriage intimacy is front and center. So I'm excited. So remember, if you're looking for a marriage retreat, you're looking to bless your marriage, you're looking to pour into it, check us out at aweekendforlove.com. We cover all things. We cover all things because we want your marriage to be blessed, and we meet you where you are. I know y'all say, I ain't never seen a Christian psychologist come at it like this, but I have to, because these things are affected in our households no matter where you are. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to have guests like Dr. Canary to join us. We thank you. I am praying for your future union, not with your boyfriend, with your king, with your man.
I know that's
with
right,
that guy.
my husband.
He is him. He is him. All right. So peace, love, and blessings to both of you. And thank you all for tuning in to another edition of Heart to Heart with Dr. Tartt. Follow, share this with your friends, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and God bless.